everyone, I'm Sarah of Rich Textures Crochet and welcome. Today we're going to learn how to crochet the Slanted Clusters Stitch. I love this crochet stitch. It's quite thick. It's fairly solid as far as the stitches go, and it's quite fun to work. It's the same on the front and the back, so it's great for those reversible projects. Today for the tutorial I'm going to be using a 5mm or an H8 crochet hook. This is the Birchwood hook by Rowan Yarn, and as well I'll be pairing it with some Basic Stitch anti-pilling yarn. It's a 100% acrylic yarn, worsted weight, and that's by Lion Brand. There'll be links to these items in the description of the video. Also down in the description you'll find a direct link to the free written instructions which are on richtexturescrochet.com. So thank you so much for joining me. While you're here, I invite you to subscribe. Take a look around. This channel is updated every single week with free crochet patterns and stitch tutorials. Now our stitch today is worked in rows, so we're going to start by making a slip knot and then by working a foundation chain. Your foundation chain today will need to be a multiple of 3 stitches plus 2. Today I'm going to chain a total of 20 chains. And just a note, as we are getting started here today, I will be working in American Crochet Terms. So for row 1, once you have your foundation chain worked, you're going to begin by working a single crochet into the second chain from your hook, and then single crochet into each stitch all the way across. Once you come all the way across at the end of row 1, you're going to chain 4, which counts as a double crochet stitch for your first 3 chains, followed by a chain 1, and then turn your work. For row 2, we're going to begin by working a cluster into the first stitch, so into the stitch at the base of our turning chain. To work your cluster stitch, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into that first stitch at the base of your turning chain, yarn over and draw up a loop. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops. You want to do that a total of 3 times. So there's 1, yarn over, insert your hook into the same stitch, yarn over and draw up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops for twice, then yarn over, insert your hook into the same stitch, yarn over, draw up your loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. For your third time, you'll then have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. That is your cluster stitch. You're then going to skip the next 2 stitches and you're going to work a cluster shell into your next stitch. To work the cluster shell, you're going to work a double crochet, chain 1, and a cluster stitch into the same stitch. Skip the next 2 stitches and repeat. Work a shell in the next stitch. Double crochet, chain 1, and cluster stitch back into the same stitch. That is your cluster shell. You're going to repeat this all the way across. Skip the next 2 stitches, work a cluster shell into your next stitch all the way across. When you come all the way across at the end of your row 2, you're going to finish off with a skip the next 2 stitches and double crochet into your final stitch. Chain 4, which counts as your double crochet, and chain 1 and turn your work. Now for row 3, we're going to begin once again by working that cluster stitch into the top of the first stitch, so into the top of that double crochet. You're then going to skip the next cluster stitch and chain 1 and work a shell into the top of your next double crochet stitch. Remember to work your shell. You're going to double crochet into the top of that double crochet stitch, chain 1 and cluster back into the same stitch. You're going to repeat that all the way across. Skip the next cluster, skip the chain 1 space, and into the top of your next double crochet, work a cluster shell. Repeat this all the way across. When you come all the way across, you're going to finish off with a double crochet into the 3rd chain of that starting chain 4. Chain 4 and turn your work. Now for the repeat in the pattern, that is it. For the rest of the pattern, you're simply going to repeat your row 3, which is your cluster shell into the top of each double crochet stitch down below. Repeat for as long as you would like, then fasten off, weave in your ends, and that is how you work this slanted clusters stitch. So thank you so much for joining me. Once again, don't forget to subscribe if you happen to make something out of this stitch and post it on social media. Be sure to tag Rich Textures Crochet. I always love to come by and admire your work. Until next time, happy crocheting. Bye.